Good evening and welcome back, Poetry Lovers. It is I, ZMYs, and here I am with another recording just for you. Tonight we are interviewing Eileen Winn. Eileen Winn is an agender poet from Cincinnati, Ohio, currently residing in Cleveland. They have been published in Orpheus, Mock Turtle Zine, and Neat magazine. They also write creative nonfiction and are currently applying to MFA programs for poetry. An avid writer and reader, they admire poets like Sharon Olds and Ada Limon, and will be publishing two chapbooks in the summer and fall of this year, 2019. Congratulations, by the way. Thank you very much for being with us today, Eileen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely. So, first of all, as a closet romantic myself, Kaveh Akbar and Paige Lewis had a similar event. They held a love poetry reading one day before their wedding. And I wanted to ask you about your recent event. Describe Paper Anniversary and how it went.
Okay, great. So Paper Anniversary was the celebration that my husband and I held for our first wedding anniversary. We actually met about 8 years ago at a variety show, and we were both the only two people reading poetry. So what we chose to do was read the original two pieces that we had been reading the night that we met, and we also each wrote variations on our own pieces. So he read a piece called Tiny Lights, and he wrote three songs based off of Tiny Lights, and I wrote a few poems based off of Farmer's Market, the poem that I read. So we alternated singing, him singing a song and me reading a poem, and it was really lovely. It was a few small people in our apartment, a small group of people in our apartment, and we also shared the video live on Instagram. It was really neat.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Mazel tov too, by the way.
Thank you.
Definitely. So, out of curiosity, what do you think is a major issue that the arts and writing community are facing, both nationally and internationally, in your opinion?
Right now, I see a lot of people struggling with like media representation and how it's extremely easy to criticize the media, and that can be something that people get caught up in, is consuming it in order to criticize. I think that a lot of writers get sidetracked by what is rightfully very upsetting. And I'm not saying, I mean, there's something to be said about being involved, absolutely. I have definitely taken the route of more protecting my mental health and staying away from things that I know will upset me. Not because I don't want to be involved, not because my opinions have changed, but because I don't want to spend all my time being outraged. I don't think that helps people in the day-to-day. And I think that writers are sensitive people who want to engage with the world around them, and the portrayal of the world around them is what can get in the way of that.
Of course, of course. And it is very difficult to find that honest journalism nowadays.
Absolutely.
It's almost honest journalism. It's almost become an oxymoron. I mean, if you think about it. What songs and poems, whether they're yours or not, describe your life and why?
Oh gosh, that's a big question. My life is multifaceted. Right now, I would say there is a song. Let me look up the title real quick. That is something I've been listening to basically on repeat.
Ooh, those are good songs.
So very much. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a really good song. But also, while I'm looking it up, there's a poem, a collection of poems by Tara Hardy that is called My. It's the word my 5 times. And actually, I have it right here with me. It is the most beautiful collection of poems that I've read in a very, very long time.
Let's see it. Oh, wow. Look at that. You weren't kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. I haven't read most times. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm not necessarily sure it describes my life, but it really resonates with it. It's an honest and brave portrayal of what it's like to be queer and disabled, to survive trauma, to survive chronic illness, and to still be triumphant. And I just find it so incredibly brave and encouraging. The song that I was thinking of is called Like the Winter, and it's by Hillsburn, like the word hills and the word burn, but it's all one word.
Let me write this down because I would like to listen to this. I'm always looking for songs, no matter who they are. I mean, especially with music and, well, just the arts in general. I know no limits whatsoever. So, Like
Yeah.
the Winter by Hillsburn,
Yes, and it's Like the Winter, and then in parentheses, revisited.
Revisited. Okay. Is it I guess, is it like a part two of a song, or is it just
I'm not even sure. It came up in my Discover Weekly on Spotify, and I just fell in love. I haven't even done any more research with it. I'm still listening to it over and over again.
I definitely have to give credit to Spotify and Pandora for me,
Oh yeah.
for introducing us to new artists. I mean, it's one of the best ways to discover. Are you familiar with archive.org by any chance?
It sounds familiar, but I can't say I am.
So especially with music, I mean, and it's public. Everyone publicly uploads their media, their multimedia. You can find free ebooks, pictures, music, especially old classic films, live poetry readings, of all things. But yeah,
No.
it's definitely, you're gonna thank me. Trust me.
Okay, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I have to credit Spotify for building a lot of my music taste.
Definitely, definitely. So I will definitely give that a listen. I will give you a thorough review. And do you mind if I give you one back?
Not at all, please.
Okay. So this is one of my absolute favorites. It goes way, way back. Um, I'll have to give you a certain specific YouTube link because it's, I mean, especially with classical music and just instrumental music and whatnot. Um, Sometimes the speeds and the pitches vary,
Sure.
and it's a very specific. I mean, I'm an audiophile, so, but anyway, so I'll be giving that to you. But anyway, the piece is called Gran Val by Francisco Trega, and he was a Spanish classical guitarist. And fun little fact, they used a snippet of that piece for the Nokia ringtone. You'll notice it goes did-a-doo-doo, did-a-doo-doo, did-a-doo-doo. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
funny. Okay.
yeah, it came from this beautiful, beautiful piece, Grand Val. But anyway, I'll give that to you. But so how and when did you know that you possessed the gift of creation?
I don't think it's anything that I ever questioned. I think that I was creative from a really young age. Um, I think all children really are, though. It's part of development, like psychologically, to start drawing, to write, to make up stories. I just don't, I think people stop. I think people don't find a use for it or don't find that they fall in love with it. But I think that truly everyone begins as a creative. It's just whether or not it resonates with you. So I think that, I mean, I started writing poetry specifically when I was about 10 years old. And I still have notebooks of my old poetry dating back to when I was like 12 or 13. Oh, it's bad stuff. It's terrible, but it's good to have as like an archive. It's enlightening in a lot of ways and humbling.
Oh, I no, I agree. I agree. Definitely. I mean, try and tell everyone. I mean, sometimes incineration or the crumpling of drafts may serve well for them, but I tell people save everything because you get to see your upward evolution,
Absolutely.
and you get to see, oh, I was here about 10 or 15 years ago, and I'm here now. How does that differ? So let me ask you as like a I guess like a side question,
Yeah.
comparing to your archive and where you are now. Where do they clash? How similar are they? How different?
Oh, it's completely different. It was very cliche, cloying, trite. But I mean, that's how it is when you make your first attempts at like this huge art form. It was a lot of like rhyming strife with life, and very like couplets or A B, but no real sense of meter. And now my writing is much more lyrical. It doesn't rely as much on rhyme at all. I play with length a lot more instead of every poem being the exact length of a notebook page. I feel a little bit more free with it. Some are shorter, some are longer. I'm more in tune with the idea of the poem instead of just feeling inspired to write, so I write. I have a thing that I actually want to express that I try to hone and distill throughout the process of writing.
Definitely.
It's completely different.
I feel that for sure. Definitely. Well, maybe for a future group Skype reading, maybe we can all share some juvenilia and see how much we won't cringe at what makes us cringe.
Oh gosh, that is for the brave of heart.
I mean, it'd be pretty interesting. It'd be pretty interesting. We could have a group reading where we bring 2 poems each, where some like maybe one of our earliest and one of our latest, and just see what happens.
That's great. It's actually one of the themes of the chapbook that I'm self-publishing them this summer and the fall, where I'm going to do one called Yearbook, and it's going to be one poem from each year that I can find. And I'm hoping back around 10 years or so, back to when I was like 16, like totally angsty, very bad poetry. Just pick the most defining one.
Nice. No, well, that actually leads to my next question. I'm glad you brought that up. Could you give us a sneak preview on the making of both of those chapbooks that are mentioned in your bio?
Sure, yeah. So the one chapbook that I just told you about, Yearbook, is something that I really want to do as a chronology. Kind of like what you were saying with taking the earliest and the latest, but I want to fill it in and hopefully show a progression and just choose one poem. The other one is going to be called Homework, and that's a more personal project. I have been tasked with writing different poems by my therapist, who is using it as like a way to narrate trauma. So I'm going to take all of these poems that I've written. She gives me different prompts, like write a poem about what happened to you, right? Like, what is your story? The reality of your trauma, what emotions does that provoke? And I've written poems in response to all these prompts, and I want to compile them and turn it into a collection, into a chapbook called Homework, because she gave me these prompts as homework. So those are my 2 chapbooks. They're personal and maybe a little bit self-indulgent, but I also think that I have enough of a theme that it might be worth doing. So I'm hoping to compile those and print those and distribute those soon.
Definitely, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with the self-indulgent element of it. I mean, we may support each other in the craft, but we are in it for ourselves.
Yeah.
We truly. So which one is? So when is Yearbook coming out, and when is Homework coming out? Which is which?
So I'm not sure when either one is coming out, but Yearbook will probably come out first, just because that's easier to compile.
Okay. I'm definitely looking forward to that. That sounds like a very interesting experiment.
Yeah, and I'll also be like announcing it on my Twitter and all that good stuff. So
you better. So what is a major artistic pet peeve of yours? No right or wrong answer.
Yeah, I would have to say major artistic pet peeve, something that's really minor but really gets to me, is line breaks that have no rhyme or reason. Just put in to make all the lines sort of the same length, and there's no rhythm, there's no flow, it's not even like, I understand bisecting a phrase in order to like make each part stand out, but sometimes like ending a line on if or the, or a word where it's like nothing's there, it just makes me feel like you're doing it to turn a sentence into a poem, and you might as well just write an essay at that point. That would be great, and I might like it. Or write a journal entry, and that's cool too. But
yeah,
I'm sure that's a stylistic thing. I don't. That doesn't make or break it for me. You know, there are pieces that I'm sure that have that pet peeve for me that I would actually enjoy, but I have to say that's.
Yeah, well, I know what you mean. That's what Ginsberg calls deliberate prose. It's like, I noticed some people do it. It's like, well, maybe if I disguise it like this, oh, it's written as a poem. It looks like verse, but it's not. You know, I guess they're running away with their metric feet. Okay,
Ah.
sorry. Okay. Okay. um, what advice would you give to an aspiring creator in the arts?
Just don't stop. I the one thing that made me really a better poet was spending an entire year writing a poem every day. And I did it. And I don't know how I did it, but I did. And I could even see my progression from challenging myself to write. And there are going to be times where you don't feel like writing, and getting words on the page is the most important thing. So just don't stop and read. Read, 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 read. And I know this is advice that everybody says a million times, but it's the only way that you get better. But read and challenge yourself and get outside your comfort zone, but really find what you love. It's okay to just read stuff because you like it. It doesn't always have to be the classics or what other people like or the good stuff. You can read fluff. You can read Babysitter's Club and still get like a new vocab word or a new way of understanding relationships out of it. Just read all the time.
Yes. Oh, amen to that. To both of those. Yeah. Let nothing stop you. Keep reading. Always keep reading. What are you currently reading, by the way?
Um, oh, I'm reading so many things right now. I'm reading a cookbook called The Cake Bible.
I've heard of that.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. I'm reading Yayoi Kusama's autobiography. She's the one who does the polka dot art and infinity nets.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm reading her autobiography. I'm reading a book called The Body Keeps the Score, which is about the psychology and embodiment of trauma.
Mm.
And I'm also reading Everyone Worth Knowing, which is a fiction novel written by the same woman who wrote The Devil Wears Prada. So I'm reading
Oh,
a very wide range of things.
yes.
Everything from a cookbook to a poetry book, autobiography, fiction. Um, I try not to watch a lot of TV, so I like to think of these as like my shows. And you might enjoy a cooking show, and you might enjoy a documentary. For me, I have my set of books, and I can flip the channel.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. All these boxes, books. I mean, as I'm getting ready to move into my new place, I'm just drooling at how the library is going to look. Like, yeah, there's no need for a television.
Yeah, my bookshelf a little bit behind me.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Um, and so besides your book and homework, what are your current writing projects looking like?
I'm mostly just trying to keep writing and come up with new material. I'm really not happy unless I'm writing a poem. And it bothers me that right now I don't have anything in the works, and it always feels like I'm never going to write again. It always feels like I'm just never going to find that poem again. So right now my current writing project is to have something to bring to my writing group on Sunday, February 3rd.
Okay.
And hopefully I'll come up with something in between now and then. I also, like you mentioned in my bio, I'm applying to MFA programs, and I just sent in my 5th application. So I wrote all my essays. I applied to 5 graduate schools, and I'm really just sitting on pins and needles, feeling kind of unmotivated to do anything else until I hear back. So,
Well, I'm sure you'll be accepted. Uh, uh, I mean, you certainly have the tenacity. That's one of the key inspirations. And if they need a reference, they could just watch this interview.
perfect.
So,
Yeah, I
so
am really, really hopeful. All the programs I applied to are fully funded. So I'm only applying to
wow,
programs where I don't have to pay to do it. And if I don't get into any, it's just going to be something I do next year too.
right.
Or this
Oh,
year, I guess now.
that's really smart. Yeah, I mean, student debt is one of the most tremendous problems one can face, and it's
Absolutely.
absolutely ridiculous.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. And I understand that you have about 2 or 3 poems that you would like to share with us. Would you like to get them out now?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Um,
Awesome.
so I have a few. I chose one that was a variation on Farmer's Market. Farmer's Market is pretty long, so I didn't want to read that one. Um, and then I have another one that I wrote this summer, and then I have one that I wrote in 2016 and revised in 2017 and revisited in 2018. But I'm really happy with it, and that's a really short one, so I'll save that one for the end. Um,
Okay.
The first one that I'm going to read is that variation on farmers market. So it deals a lot with themes of farming, of harvesting, of growth. And the title of it is To See with One's Own Eyes, which is the root, it's the meaning of the word autopsia, which is the Greek word that autopsy comes from. So to see with one's own eyes. Excuse me when I tip the bowl up to my lip. I want all the fat and the skin under that and the dirt that adheres still lower. You'll have to excuse my suspicious hand too. My grandmother did not grow these mushrooms, and they are half frozen, I think, from the fridge. It is one thing to trust the farmer, to consume the salmon, the produce, the peaches, all willingly, and even in the same brave meal, but we all know it's another to pull a potato from its own home, or to thread a warm worm over a silver crook and pray to catch the live wire of an instinctual fish spine, all eye and silver, gut to be open and transversed. And it is still another to need to do this on yourself, to find a bait for guilt and shame so you can harvest it, fillet the insides, prove to yourself it can be cooked until dead and cleaned up after, you, the fish. You, the knife, you, the chef, you, the warm, bloody rag absolving all of them in a wiping motion meant to brush down the nerves until they are dulled, from the hook, the blade, the dirt and fat, all the way down until the lake and the field are flat again. You, the fisher, you, the farmer, you all happy laid along the center of the feast.
Oof. I liked that a great deal.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This next one is called So As to Carry in the Hand. And it was written this summer when I was going through a period of learning about persistence and learning about building habits and self-improvement and building things from dirt, really, from nothing, and how to grow upward and construct something that will carry you past where you're at. So as to carry in the hand.
Brilliant.
What I have seen reduced to a nub. Only one lipstick, my father, the heel of my mother's pink suede boots in a story, a love that calcified after souring, which was worn down by a later onslaught of sugar, which did not stick, did not exfoliate, a favorite knife, my favorite bones, which were later excavated, lengthened, sharpened. What I have seen grow from stumps, another tree, a million greed things, budding confidence my husband plays like a guitar, muscular tissue, the iterations of my sister who elevates beyond what she is given, conversation out of silence, my willingness to return again to things I don't know, to the pavement, to the mat, to my running shoes, to the idea of patience, to the present moment, to whatever song my breath sings yet still remains elusive. It is good still to make an attempt, even as the blush of recklessness has faded, left you with stained palms and peach pits only, a whole bowl of the centers without the slicing sweetness of the journey. Make an attempt. Split the seed and find it dry for planting. Bury it so far down that the sun cannot burn its hope away, and it will wait a little longer, unidentifiable beginning, indistinguishable growth, the first pattern as of yet unformed, yet looks like you again, attempt to wean and sprout from withering.
Oof. I really picked up a lot of sentimental nostalgia from that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I wrote that poem almost like a gathering of objects, what you display on a trophy shelf, and just thinking moments and truly literal physical objects, and trying to kind of capture in a time capsule what things are like in that moment. And that poem really defines this past summer for me.
Oh, wow. Well, excellent. Absolutely excellent.
And then my final piece is called A Little Bit of Everything. It's very short. Like I said, I wrote it in 2016, rewrote it to sort of rhyme more and have a tighter structure in 2017, and revisited it in 2018 to share with my writing group. So this is perhaps its final variation. A little bit of everything. In the parking lot of our fanciest Golden Corral, the snow was wheeling down faster than I could feel it, spaced with each flake apart, but still like stitches in a blanket. I told my mother how I wondered about the pieces of it all, if any of it would touch me when I'm tall, or melt upon my future husband's head. With not a lot of wonder, "You think just like your father," was all she said.
Mm. Save the best for last.
Thank you.
Brilliant. So do you want to just go ahead and just take this time to just plug yourself, tell us where we can find you, and perhaps some final words to the audience?
Sure. Okay. So I am on Twitter as Weird Museum, all one word, two words that are kind of hard to spell, but nobody else took the handle. So Weird Museum. I'm on WordPress also as Weird Museum, but the I in weird is a 1. So it's Weird Museum with an I, or a 1 instead of the I. Those are really the only two places that I'm present as a writer right now. I'm trying to keep my profile small as I apply to grad school and submit pieces to magazines. I also have a writing group for anyone who does not identify as a man, called, I think, Powerful Poet Peers, but you can find me on Facebook as Eileen Winn, Winn, if you're interested in joining the group, and I'd be more than happy to expand membership. That's really it. I'm really excited about my chapbooks coming out. You're going to see that on Twitter this year. Wait with me on pins and needles as I find out whether or not I'm getting into grad school. And hopefully this is not the last that you hear of me.
It better not be. It better not be. Well, thank you very much, Eileen Winn, for joining us. You heard it from them. Search for them on Twitter and WordPress. And we hope to see you again quite soon.
Great. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.